Hello world, hello YouTube land, me again. So I'm going to review Swamp Thing for you now. Swamp Thing issue number 22 by Charles Saul and artist Kano. I've noticed that ever since Scott Snyder jumped off this one a few months ago, they've been having guest stars every month, which is never a good sign, is it? Really, it's saying that you don't think Swamp Thing himself is strong enough to carry the comic, which I thought was a bit strange, really. Perhaps the reasoning is that people are buying it because of the writer, because of Scott Snyder, who's famous for doing Batman, and they think that Charles Soule's Swamp Thing isn't strong enough by itself. So they've had Superman, they've had I think the Scarecrow, wasn't it, a couple of months ago. This issue they got Constantine. I'm still enjoying it. Lots of people have jumped off, but not me, not yet. Let's see how I feel about it after reading this one. As usual, I'll go through the narrative. Spoilers as usual with me. Okay, at the beginning of this comic, we have the new bad guy called Cedar going to a small Scottish village called Peters Hill. Sorry, I don't know if that's real, but population 72. Seems a bit small, but they mention in the comic that industry has left the village. That's why there's not many people living there anymore. And that's quite true, really, isn't it? If you look around the English countryside, the towns and cities, lots of our jobs have been outsourced to third world countries because of the cost of labour. They basically got a slave labour racket going on in China, haven't they? So they can build all this stuff over there for a tenth of what it costs to build it over here. Henceforth, all our jobs have gone, and the only thing left in this country is crappy supermarket and coffee shop jobs, as I know myself. So yeah, they've got a bit of realism here. And unfortunately, when Cedar goes to this little Scottish village, the people meet are old Scottish stereotypes. Really, it's not quite Simpson stereotypes, but it's pretty close. I mean, they've got little hats with tartan on them, and yeah, so you can tell this is an American writer, and he probably has never even visited Scotland before, or maybe just like the touristy parts of Scotland. Okay, so Steve's gone to the village. He's talking to the old stereotypes in the village, and they've told him that this village is deserted because the industry is left. The industry was a whisky distillery, and never stereotype about Scotland, of course, whisky. And so Steve just said, "Oh, I can help," and he's thrown his seeds and have sprouted a big tree which is raining whiskey from the branches. So, quite a good idea, really. I don't know how that's going to help out the village, but there you go. It's seen as the bad guy, so maybe his intention is not to help out the village anyway. Okay, so how does Swamp Thing tie into this? Okay, Swamp Thing's connected to the green, and then anything that's that doesn't quite fit in with the green, he almost gets like a signal, like a spider sense. If something's wrong, it sort of rings, and off it goes to see what's going on. Obviously, if you've got a whiskey tree, that's not part of nature. It's something not right there. So Swamp Thing has gone off to the little Scottish village to investigate what's going on. When the Swampy is in the village, he meets Constantine. They have a little confrontation. Constantine's quite funny. Says mate all the time in awkward situations where it doesn't really fit, but most American writers don't actually know when to use the old mate thing that English guys tend to use. They always get it wrong all the time, and it's no different in this comic, really. Mate. Anyway, the Scottish stereotypes in the village, which I noticed one thing, that all the stereotypes are quite elderly. So what's happening to the young people in the real world. I know I talk about the real world too much, but that's where we live, isn't it? And if comics are set in this world, then they at least got a nod to it a little bit. So yeah, in this comic, the young people don't exist, but in the world where I live, what's happened to these to the younger generations in these towns and cities is they've turned to drugs. Unfortunately, everybody knows now, don't they, that the intelligence agencies ship the drugs into the country, make them illegal to you know, make money from the black market. The locals get addicted to, youngsters get addicted to the stuff, and it's a good excuse to lock them up in prisons. And you've got total control over these people's lives, haven't you? You put the nanny and social workers and parole officers in total control over the poor, isn't it, really? Because of the drugs that they allow to come into the country. No mention of that in Swamp Thing, of course. Maybe it's too controversial, even though it's real, true, and provable. Not mentioned. So we got a village of stereotypes. They're drinking from this unnatural whiskey tree, and rather than just getting drunk, they're turning comic book evil and violent. There we go. Nice colours there, aren't they? It works quite well. The local stereotypes turning evil. Right, so Constantine is there, and I'm asking the question, why is he there? Swamp Thing's asking the same question. It appears that Constantine is not himself. He's drank from a whiskey tree himself, and he's been infected. And near the end of the comic here, we've got Constantine crowning himself as John I, the king of the village, the Whiskey King. And loyal subjects, here is my first command: play. And we've got the last page here. You see the local stereotypes attacking poor old Swamp Thing there, ripping him apart, ripping him from leaf to leaf, with Constantine in the background, orchestrating the violence on poor old Swamp Thing. So yeah, it looks like Constantine's been infected by cedar, and what he's doing with that whiskey tree. And yeah, what will happen next is quite interesting, really, isn't it? And because it's only a two-part arc, we will find out in the next issue. So I'm not jumping off yet. I'll pick up next month's issue to see what happens. Bits of truth in this comic, some stereotypical stuff, so some understanding of the current economic situation in Scotland, but obviously not mentioning the most important things. I'll probably give this comic a 6 out of 10. It was quite simple. The art was pretty decent, but a bit patchy. You know, wasn't particularly great. There's some rough panels in here as well. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Better than anything that Marvel's doing at the moment, that's for sure. But yeah, not the top of what DC produce now. I'd recommend it, but I'd give it a cautious thumbs up. So there we go. Swamp Thing 22. The what's the name of that arc? The Whisky Tree arc, part 1 or 2. Pick it up, but don't expect too much. Okay, see ya.